This is Eddie Hearn, Matchroom Boxing. You are watching Sporting Icons. You don't need to be anywhere else.
So a small series of events have pretty much led me to this point to do this video now rather than wait a little while longer for it to be official. Because it's an interesting talking point one way or another, whether it turns out to be true or not. Now, usually within the videos, I'd always like to try and put a source in the description box to verify what it is I'm talking about in the video. So in this video, I can't do that. Okay, because there is nothing out there online that would validate any of the things that I'm about to tell you. And likewise, I'm not going to drop people in it. I'm not going to start mentioning the names of people who told me this kind of information. Okay, but the information that I've got over like the last few weeks, where I spoke to like a couple of promoters who would have a lot of inside information, and of course today at the professional boxing gym as well, where I was asked, have I heard about this? And apparently it's meant to be true. But it does contradict what Barry Hearn told me, 3, maybe even 4 months ago now, where he believed that Sky Sports and Matchroom, as far as the boxing was concerned at least, would probably extend their deal for a little while longer. But much like many sports, and boxing is no different, what could be one thing yesterday and one thing today may not be tomorrow. That is pretty much the landscape of sport in general, but especially with boxing, things change on a day-to-day basis. Now, what is it that I've heard? Okay, so from promoters over the last few weeks, and of course today, I've heard that Matchroom, as far as boxing is concerned, and Sky Sports are now parting ways. They've got X amount of dates already planned. They'll fulfill those dates, but then it'll get to a certain point. Then they will then go their own separate ways. And I've been told about 2 different sides as well, which is firstly what Sky Sports will then do to continue, and of course with Eddie Hearn. But with Eddie Hearn and Matchroom Boxing, of course, what's their other options? What's their alternative? Well, DAZN, isn't it? DAZN, by sounds of it and by looks of it, they're willing to pump in a lot of money to secure the rights for British boxing, the Matchroom shows, the fight nights. But does that deal potentially involve, say, Anthony Joshua fights? Whereas Anthony Joshua, for example, he's got a deal with Matchroom and he's got a deal with Sky Sports. Do they run along side by side? I don't know. Okay, I don't have that kind of inside information, but I'm hearing that Sky Sports will continue to show, say, Anthony Joshua fights on pay-per-view. Sky Sports may continue to show, say, Dillian Whyte fights, where Dillian Whyte, he's not a Matchroom fighter, as in he doesn't have a contract with Matchroom, or at least he hadn't like the last time I spoke with him. But essentially, he could still fight on Sky Sports. But we're talking about the regular Saturday night fight nights. The Matchroom shows in general, the ones that are not pay-per-view, could all be going over to DAZN. Now, apparently, we will be finding out this week. And this is pretty much from Eddie Hearn, where he said about a week or 2 ago that he expects to announce one way or another to be announcing this week. So we'll have to wait and see on that one. But what happens with Sky Sports going forward? So what happens with Sky Sports is that, again, according to these couple of promoters and with the conversation today as well, is that Sky Sports either have already started or they will be reaching out to promoters. Now, originally, I was under the impression that once and if Eddie Hearn, and again, let's be honest, inevitably, Eddie Hearn Matchroom will go exclusive with DAZN. But what Eddie Hearn has been speaking about in the past, much like the last conversation I had with Barry Hearn, was that they're probably going to extend it for like another year, maybe 2 years, and then maybe move on. But it's going to be inevitable at some point. But what I'm hearing now is that Sky Sports are like, well, why wait? Just go now. The dates that we've got, we'll fulfill those dates. But when it comes to this certain point, see you later. So Sky Sports are looking to not just have one promoter like they have currently, where they have Eddie Hearn as the frontman for their boxing. They're looking at several. As in all, however many it may be, whether it be 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 of these different promoters will all be given X amount of fight dates per year. And the names that have been mentioned, like Kalle Sauerland, of course, with his new deal with Wasserman. You're talking about Al Siesta, which would be a fantastic choice, by the way, with his inside information and all his contacts and everything that he does. You're looking at Pat Barrett. You're looking at Dennis Hobson. Dennis Hobson seems to be a bit of a front runner as well, and quite a few other ones. So they'll all be given X amount of fight dates per year, so therefore Sky Sports and boxing will continue. Of course, the names like MTK Global are always going to be thrown around, but are Sky Sports, are they going to take MTK on fully, or are they going to distance themselves until the whole media situation with MTK and everything else calms down or sorts itself out one way or another? Again, we'll have to find out in time. But if it turns out that it's true, for me, I don't mind one way or another. Okay, because I'm going to continue to have Sky Sports, providing they continue to put on boxing. But I'm also going to have DAZN as well, especially at the kind of prices that they're putting them out. If they're going to get all the UK-based boxing on DAZN, then for the kind of price that they'll be giving out to America for, was it $100 for a year and things like that, and it's a very similar price in Germany, so I'm hearing, and other territories, I'm quite happy with that. I'm quite happy with that in addition to the Sky Sports. But if Sky Sports don't really put on too much boxing anymore, then I'll have been off Sky Sports. I ain't going to lie about it. But it's an interesting time, and I think it's an interesting subject. It really is. So what's going to happen? Apparently we're going to find out this week, but who knows for sure. But it's certainly going to rock up boxing, isn't it? It's going to change a lot of things for boxing. Because a lot of us, we have Sky Sports because we want to watch the boxing predominantly, like me, predominantly boxing. But a lot of people, they have it for football. They have it for different kind of sports. But if you take away boxing, say, for example, me, then I don't need Sky Sports anymore. As much as I like football and everything like that, you know what, I'm not going to be paying the kind of money that I have to pay for Sky Sports and all its add-ons and everything else just to watch my team, Newcastle United, get spanked each and every week. Okay, so I'm quite happy to just bin that off and I'll just get a ticket to watch them at St James's Park just down the road. But anyway, we'll have to wait and find out. But it does seem that certain people within boxing are pretty convinced that the parting of the ways between Eddie Hearn, Matchroom Boxing and Sky Sports, while it's going to be inevitable anyway at some point, it's a case of it's not inevitable at some point in a year or two down the line, it's inevitable to be happening now. Whereas apparently Sky Sports are not too happy about certain situations. Matchroom are not quite happy with certain situations in that themselves. And rather than just go through it just for the sake of going through with it, by sounds of it, they've actually agreed to move on. So it's going to be very interesting to see what it is that Sky Sports do. If they do bring on board, for example, like Al Siesta and Calla Sowland and Dennis Hobson and Pat Barrett and any other kind of names that you could think of out there, if they do have that along with MTK Global, then it's going to be a more varied kind of way for boxing, isn't it? More varied. Will Adam Smith, will he continue in his role with boxing? I know that he's been moved over to darts and that as well, so maybe that's going to be his main thing going forward. Or maybe he will ship over to DAZN. Maybe DAZN don't want him. We don't know. What kind of commentary team are they going to have? Are they going to bring back the likes of, say, maybe Glenn McCory and that? It's interesting times, right? Very interesting times. Anyway, you'll drop your thoughts below about it. Do you think that Eddie Hearn and Sky Sports should part ways? Do you think that they will part ways? Do you think they'll do it now? Or do you think maybe they'll wait for a little while longer? Drop your thoughts below. Click thumbs up, subscribe. Catch you on the next video.